Hey there. Building a pitch deck from scratch is difficult, especially for someone like me. For some reason, when I did my MBA, I had the opportunity to build a lot of pitch decks for different classes, different courses. But I've always struggled to internalize how to build a good pitch deck. And so when it came to my startup, where building pitch decks is practically the bread and butter of my startup, it determines the success or failure, it became even more crucial. And I've spent hours and hours and hours trying to make the process as easy, as intuitive, and the output as good as possible from my perspective, because I knew for a fact that being an entrepreneur, I would have to create a lot of pitch decks, a lot of materials, a lot of marketing stuff that need to go out, which needs to be clear, intuitive, it needs to have a story, and it needs to be absorbed easily from people who might not know anything about me or something that I'm building. So I just wanted to share a few things that I do for building a pitch deck. And since Xena is about to raise another round of funding, I thought it'll be a good opportunity to share the entire process of from the beginning till the end of how I put together the pitch deck, what tools I use, and what the process in which I build it up so that it can be as effective as possible. I must preface by saying that I'm no expert in pitch decks or building pitch decks. I know people who can do this much, much, much more better, but I just wanted to share my POV on the entire process. So the first thing that I do is I want to write down as much as possible about Xena or my startup on a document. And I wanted a framework to put that in, because the idea of a pitch deck is that whatever thoughts or ideas you have in mind, you need to translate it into an easy to digest deck. And so the first resource that I found was an article in startuphacks.vc. It was by Alex Askold. I'm a big fan of his. He's the managing partner of 2048 VC. And in this article, I'll include the link as well, where he has mentioned 30 questions that investors ask startups. So, for example, who are your customers? What's unique about your solution? And he has a whole set of questionnaire along with the description of what they're expecting. When I start to build a pitch deck, I take this framework and I spend some time and I type down the answers. Regardless, I don't take too much about the spelling or the grammar, but whatever the question is, I try to type out as much as possible my thoughts in a way that can fill out these answers. I think that is the first step. It's 30 questions. It's pretty well fleshed out. I think it covers almost every aspect of a startup. And not only does this give you a good framework to build your pitch deck off of, but it also makes you think on different aspects of what you're trying to build and what's important for your business and how do you structure it. So the first task is to build this out. So I've taken all the 30 questions, put it in an online Google Sheet, Google Doc rather, and I spent time and I wrote each of the answers out. For example, who are your customers? Xena's customers are e-commerce managers, CPG founders, head of R&D, core insights, what makes Xena special. And so I have filled out painstakingly. It took me about an hour to type it all out. And like I said, I didn't worry too much about the structure or the grammar because you can always correct that. But it's important to fill out as much of this, hopefully all of it, so that you can kind of get a sense. And it ends with how much money you're trying to raise. And Xena is currently trying to raise a bridge round of 750,000. Existing investors, capital. So all the information about Xena, I have put it in. So now the next step is to structure all the answers in this particular format into a pitch deck. And this is how I'm going to do it. Talking of the structure of the pitch deck, I'd like to thank Jordan and Andrew from Techstars New York, who are my mentors and who Xena was a part of. They shared a structure of the different slides that need to be included in pitch deck. Now, if you search online, you'll find a variety of different answers of what are the different decks or different slides or different content that need to be included. But for me, these constitute, I think, the most important ones, and this is what I'm going to follow, starting with logo, mission, product, solution, all the way up to summary and ask for funds. I think this is a pretty good model to follow. It has a flow to it, it has a story to it, and whoever goes through it can basically understand what the pitch deck is. So This is, I think, a majority of the effort that you need to put in, where you need to understand the structure and you need to answer these 30 questions. And I think this should be enough, combined with Canva, Perplexity, ChatGPT. I think should give you a very strong basis on which to build your pitch deck. Next, we have the structure, we have the content. Now we have to build the pitch deck. So I love Canva for a lot of reasons, because it's easy to use. There are a lot of design elements that I find pleasing and easy to navigate. And so I will search for pitch deck over here, and I'll go through the different templates that are available. I think a lot of these are really, really good. I particularly like this one, Blue Modern Template. So let's try if we can use this one. I kind of like this. It has different aspects of it, which is easy to understand, easy to read. I'm just going to go for it, except that the Zena's color is pink, so I might have to do some changes on making it more pinkish and making it more on brand. But I think I like the structure of this one, and so we'll be building on this one. So this is the first slide of the pitch deck. I wanted to keep it simple, just easy to understand. You definitely need to include the logo of your company, make sure it's mentioned that it's a pitch deck so people know. I also included this one line below, simplifying e-commerce at scale, and I highlighted e-commerce so that whoever is reading the pitch deck knows that Zena is got to do something with e-commerce. Next, we move on to the mission slide. So this was the original template, and this is what I built off of the template. So I mentioned mission on top. I also included a photo of mine with a tagline which I used during my Techstars New York demo day. I think it kind of gives the readers an understanding of what is the reason why Zena began. Now, there's a whole video of me pitching, and there's a story of how I saw my father struggle during his early days, and so I felt I wish I could have helped him. And so that's where e-commerce came into picture. That's where helping businesses grow on e-commerce came into picture, and that's how Zena came into the picture. Obviously, I can't put everything. I didn't want to make it dense. I want to make it simple, easy to read. And so with the simple tagline that I wanted to empower e-commerce brands with AI and streamline their operations and unprecedented growth. Now, just a pro tip. The way that I generated the mission is that I use Perplexity, which is a great tool. So if let's say I go to Perplexity, and then I can just practically copy paste all the answers that I put in. I put it in, and then I say, give me 5 options for a good mission statement. And then Perplexity uses different LLM models, and it kind of gives a few options of our compelling statements, and one of them that created was the one that I used. And so you can use ChatGPT, you can use Cloud, you can use any platform. So this kind of gives you a very structured approach of how what the exact sentences that you can use. So I pitched it. I obviously made some changes to this as well, but this is one of the easiest ways to create the mission slide, which I think sets the tone for the rest of the pitch deck. Now we move on to the problem page. This needs to be, again, easy to understand, easy to read. So what I built, this was the template that I built it off of. This is what I went with. The problem, again, it was pretty clear for me because it was one of the questions in the 30 questions where e-commerce brands are struggling with ads and SEO, and Zena can help automate and optimize a lot of these tasks. Along with it, I also got feedback that it is crucial to highlight how painful the problem is. So I went to Google, searched for a few headlines regarding the hardships that e-commerce brands faced, and I took a couple of snippets and I included that as well. It kind of gives credibility, especially from mainstream media, where the problem that you're trying to solve is being covered extensively by the press, and it kind of gives more credibility on the real pain point that comes into picture, where there are surveys and data to support the problem set that you're trying to solve. I also included a couple of videos that I had recorded previously. Again, in PDF, you can't really open videos, but there is an option in Canva where you can send a live link where they can click on these videos and it will play. Again, I just wanted to show that me and my team at Zena are pretty well aware of the issues and are very in tune with the challenges of the target customers that we are working with. The next slide, we have defined the problem pretty well, and now we move on to the solution. So instead of naming it solution, I decided to use this template and named it product instead. where the solution is kind of given right on top, where it's rapid iteration is key to e-commerce success. That is the basis on which Xena has grown so far. And I've also used the real estate below to explain further how is that the rapid iteration has been used by Xena. So one is by contextualized product listing, ad optimization, high frequency optimizations, and proprietary algorithm to make those things. So I think this slide highlights how it acts both as a product slide in a way and solutions as well, where it shows the core insight, which is rapid iteration, and it moves on to how exactly the solutions that come into the picture solve the problem that we faced, or that we explained rather in the last slide. In conjunction with the product slide, I also decided to add another slide which also doubles down on what the product is and how it helps solve the problem, and a one-liner, kind of like a blurb that you would include in intro emails to show the reader what Xena is about, which is seamlessly integrates different marketplaces, uses AI, historical data, and optimization. The point of this slide is that if someone were to quickly swipe through the different slides, which people tend to do, they would just land on this slide. They see a couple of videos of walkthroughs that they have an option to open if they are they're opening using a Canva link. But also they know for a fact that there is a walkthrough available if they so wish. And with just one sentence, they're able to kind of internalize what Xena does, which is seamlessly integrate with different marketplace. And it also provides actionable insights. And so the point that was iterated in the previous slide, which was about rapid optimization, kind of doubles down on this slide as well, where it kind of makes it hopefully clearer for the readers to understand what Xena actually does. Once you have described the slide of the product page successfully, we'll move on to the product roadmap. So that in the previous slide, we showed that how product solves a problem, what the core concept or core insights is. Now we move on to the roadmap, which is the future of the product, how the AI capabilities in e-commerce can be expanded thanks to Xena, which is, we have kind of mentioned like a pseudo timeline like Q3, Q4 of 24 and 25, where we plan to go omni-channel. We have AI image generation capabilities in the pipeline, and also we are trying to get into the enterprise market as well because of the capabilities and the scale that Xena provides. It provides a very interesting look into how Xena can expand into that market. So when somebody reads this page, again, not a lot of text, very simple to understand, they kind of get a sense where Xena is heading towards, which is omnichannel AI image generation, expanded AI capabilities, and also enterprise markets as well. Next, we move on to the business model page. Now we have described the problem, the solution, the product features, and now product roadmap, and now how we plan to make money. So I've decided to use this template and create something like this, where Xena's business model is a fixed annual SaaS fee, which contributes to ARR, plus a percentage of performance fee, which has been received pretty well by our customers, because it kind of shows that Xena's growth is in line with our customers' growth as well. So I mentioned it very clearly, it's a fixed platform fee plus performance fee. It varies from customer to customer. If anyone asks, I can give specifics as well. But just understanding this business model, I think, is enough for a lot of people to know where Xena is going in. And so we also mentioned that it has tiered offerings. There's a freemium version. So we have tools like Foresight and some version of 360, which is freely available for self-onboarding and self-platform as well. And then we also have the potential or the current features where we have diversified revenue, where we are also generating reports and insights that are used by some Fortune 100 companies to make decisions on new product launches and existing products as well. And so with this page, we wanted to give an idea of what the business model is, how we make money, and what are, if any, are some diversified revenue sources that are available, that is available for Xena going forward. After talking about the business model, one aspect or one question that is asked pretty often is what the unit economics is of our business. What is the estimated customer lifetime value, customer acquisition costs, and the ratio between the both of them. This kind of gives a very clear understanding that our team at Xena is very well aware of the value that each customer provides. And we also wanted to highlight the fact that we have a very, very high customer retention rate of more than 95% to show how valuable Xena is and how the unit economics works in our favor. But more importantly, since we are aware of these metrics, we are also aware of the fact that if once we do raise the necessary funds, we know exactly where to invest it in, because we are aware of these metrics in place that cost us to acquire a new customer and what each customer represents for Xena as a business. The next thing that the investors would love to know is how is Xena planning to grow? explain the product, the how you're solving it, the business model, unit economics, and now what's the future looking like. And so we this is a great opportunity for us to share with potential investors of how Zena plans to grow and what has worked so far. For example, digital marketing strategic partnerships have been really good for us. Customer referrals, most of our newer customers have been or have come on board Zena or started working with us because of the great response or the reviews left by our current customers, and which is pretty evident from the retention rate that is in place. And so going forward, these growth channels have what's worked for us, and of course we are open to identifying new ones, but with the unit economics and the fundraise in place, these are the three main channels for our growth. And that's uh, understanding these levers, I think, is a very important aspect of the facts that need to be included in a pitch deck. Another very, very important slide, I think, is the traction. It shows product market fit, or at least a directionally movement towards it. So we've grown 4x this year. Our ARR has grown. We've managed more than 30 million in ads. We have more than 50 customers. And so this kind of gives, these big numbers give an idea of where Zena has gone or has traveled through so far, and how valuable it is, again, based on the previous traction with limited resources, with limited time. We have been able to achieve so much. I think this slide is also super important for investors to know that as time goes by, how Zena has de-risked its own business thanks to the growth and thanks to the revenue. Now, next is the market size slide. Usually people I've seen include market size or market research slide in the very beginning of the deck, which I don't think is a good idea, because people really just want to absorb what your startup is about and then move on to justifying if the market is big enough and it's a size enough. E-commerce, obviously very massive, millions of brands. It's growing at a very, very healthy rate. Every day there are new customers, there are new players. So there's no doubt that e-commerce is huge. But putting actual numbers, putting actual snippets of news articles, and doing research on understanding the real market size, you've heard of Samsung, TAM, whatever that is, into understanding what the market size is. And so, for example, in this case, we have about 1 million active sellers just on Amazon right now. That kind of shows what a drop in the bucket we have right now, given the traction that we have and what the potential holds going forward as well. Moving on from the market size, I think another important slide that needs to be included in any pitch deck is why now? What's the timing? And here, again, it's a great opportunity to show more reports, new snippets, to show what are the aspects of the market in which you're trying to operate is working on right now. So in this case, e-commerce, there are increased online shopping, tech advancements, market dynamics, and a bunch of reports that show that e-commerce is heating up and there's no sign of slowing down. And again, I would think of using this slide as a way to show why the timing is perfect for your startup, why the timing is right for any investor to come into your business at this point. And now we move on to the milestones, where again, it's kind of like traction, but I wanted to use this opportunity to show, since Zena began in 2022, what are the different aspects of awards, achievements, milestones that we have achieved, which includes number of customers that are increasing, some verified badges that we have got from Amazon, Walmart, and Shopify, and work with some large Fortune 100 companies, and how Zena has evolved over time. This will give someone a good idea of how Zena's growth has been over the years and what the potential holds for it. And then finally, we summarize everything so that once everyone flips through all the slides, they get to this slide and kind of get an idea. And then ask as well, what is it that you're trying to raise, a million, 150, whatever it is, and get a good perspective of tying everything up together of what we have described, hopefully in the form of a story. And then finally, a contact us page with a few more pictures with my beautiful wife over here and my parents down here as well. So just to show how big the team is, the humans behind the organization, and just to give that human touch to the whole slide. Now, there are a few more slides as well that I need to include, like the financials slide to show how the revenue is growing, what the burn is, what the expected runway is, and how that things evolve with time. And of course, the team slide as well, where you need to include all your team members, how they make a good fit for your organization, how they play into growing Zena's growth journey as well. So there's a summary. So that's the flow of the very easiest version of the pitch deck that I have, that anyone can put together, really. And thanks to Canva, Perplexity, ChatGPT, and Alex Askold's excellent 30 questions to help in the process of building a pitch deck. Now, like I said, I'm no expert, but I think this is a good and a relatively efficient way to powerfully describe what you're working on. Everything that is in your head can be put together in a easy to understand pitch deck, and this is the process that I follow. I hope this has been helpful.